All right, we'll see how this one works out, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hello and welcome back to another 5K tennis discussion. It is a rainy day here in Dauphin Island, Alabama, so we elected to sit down and chat with you guys. So welcome to another show. All right, we are using a different internet setup today, so it's kind of a test run anyway, so we all right. But nonetheless, we're knocking out two birds with one stone,
Sure.
internet test and a rainy day show. All right. Are you able to see it on your phone, by the way?
Sure.
All right. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We're giving away over $400 in cash and prizes for the U.S. Open. So you'll want to be involved with that for sure. We're going to start today's show with a couple of shout outs. Number one, yesterday, my wife and I, Carla, went out and we shot a video of our 13-year-old daughter, or excuse me, 12-year-old daughter. And there was a message out there after that video from Divine Dude that indicated that he loved watching the one-handed backhand and that we shouldn't change it.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Carla, on our 12-year-old and her one-handed backhand?
Sometimes I do want to change it because I feel like geez, it's taking forever to master the stroke. But then anytime I try to change it, she's not happy. So
she gets frustrated.
So I like if I tell her, let's go back to 2 again, then she'll give up on it completely. So
yeah, one of the most difficult things about teaching your own children as they get frustrated with you really quickly. So I feel like she could be a whole heck of a lot better at this point already if it wasn't for parent teaching child. But nonetheless, I think she's coming along very well.
I just think, like I told her, she needs to keep hitting it, keep whacking it. Eventually, she'll figure it out and find her range.
Are you able to see us clearly?
Yes, I'm able to see it. Yes.
Yeah, let us know out there if there's any audio or video issues. Again, the sound and internet is kind of a test today.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you missed that video, check it out. It is, again, our 12-year-old daughter practicing with Carly yesterday. Tell us your thoughts on her one-handed backhand.
Right.
Seeing it pretty good?
Yep.
All right. Starting out today's show with the following thought. Is Roger Federer vulnerable in every match that he, at this point moving forward? Is he vulnerable? In other words, Roger Federer starts the U.S. Open. Is he a possibility to go down in every match that he plays?
Go down first round, of course. Yeah, I think we've talked about him a lot. I mean, he's vulnerable anytime he gets on the court right now, just because he hasn't had enough practice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he has been away from the game for half a year, close to a year.
Right.
He's older, slower, reaction slower.
Yep.
You got the younger guys that are full of energy. He has to finish the points quicker. So yeah.
Agree totally. I only bring that up because I felt like last night when I was watching Simona Halep play Danielle Collins, I felt like Simona Halep looked vulnerable. You know what I mean? So
she went back to her old game style, which is defensive.
Yeah.
There is no put away shot. Her shots are I find them very loopy, very short. There's no weapons. You need weapons to be a champion. I mean, she's been a champion, but I'm just saying she left the game, got sick, got COVID, came back, injured. She looked vulnerable. She was scattering all over the court. She was getting handled by Collins. Collins hit every ball. Every ball she hit was hit, high risk, hit, high risk. She didn't care. She kept going for it.
Exactly.
And whereas Halep was just hanging on.
Did you notice that when Halep was hitting the ball, everything was landing relatively short of the court?
That's what I'm saying.
She was defending like she always was, but the ball was landing shorter than it normally does. So I'll ask you a couple of questions about Simona Halep, Carla. Your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, by the way, not necessarily a question, but we can't forget that Simona Halep is one of the most hideous grunters and screechers in all of women's tennis. She definitely put herself back on the map last night in the screeching territory. It was awful. It was rough. We had the volume up, but we definitely turned it down a bit. All right, question.
I kept telling her to shut up. It was so annoying that I'm surprised that Collins didn't try to scream louder. She surprisingly did not scream. Collins
is feisty. Mm-hmm. She can be downright bitchy. Mm-hmm. She can be downright snooty. So can Coco Vandeweghe. Did anybody see yesterday? Yesterday where Coco Vandeweghe was playing an ITF event and there was a break for the heat. It was too hot, so the players split sets. So the umpire called it for heat. Anyway, long story short, play resumed. And Coco Vandeweghe didn't want to give any warm-up time to her opponent. Now, there is no rule about that. There's nothing in the rule book that says if you come back on the court after suspension, you have to give X amount of time to warm up to anybody. However, it's an etiquette. You go out and warm up with someone. That's not the time for you to actually be warmed up. We know that. You get warmed up prior to the match, another court, practice court, whatever. The reason that you go out and hit with someone for a few minutes prior to the match is so you have an opportunity to check out your opponent's game before it starts, right? So I get that she didn't need to check out her game. She had already played 2 sets against the individual, but still, some people like me, we have to warm up. Look, I go out and play matches. I can warm up for an hour and still won't get warmed up into the match until mid-first set, sometimes even mid-second set. So it's really important to warm up. I thought it was really tacky of Coco Vandeweghe to do it. Did you see that? Did you see it?
She's like Collins. The American women, they're very bitchy sometimes. This guy said, you said all this stuff about Halep, yet Collins barely won the match.
Well, yes, but look at the difference in player, though.
But
Danielle Collins versus Halep.
Yeah, she's a Grand Slam champion. And the fact that she has not put it in her head that she has to change her playing style to win more slams, she needs to be more aggressive. Not only that, if you looked at Collins, she was just going for everything. There was no strategy. Mm-hmm. She was just whacking the ball. No strategy whatsoever. Just, I'm going to hit it. And I want to see if this little girl, this little elf, can stand my pace. She looks like an elf. Someone please tell Halep stop putting her hair in a bun. She's a pretty girl.
Oh, you don't like her bun?
I hate her bun. She's a very pretty girl.
So
when she puts her hair up like that all messy, it doesn't make her. It makes her look like an elf.
All right. So if you're anti-bun, that means number one, you don't like Andreescu.
No, some people look good in buns.
You don't like Sabalenka's bun.
No. Some people look good in Sabalenka.
She has a bun.
It's not even a bun. It's just like sometimes when I feel shitty, I just do that too. But Halep looks messy, and she's a pretty girl, and she should do a little bit more with her hair because she's a pretty, in shape girl, a top, Grand Slam champion, and it looks like she doesn't care. I mean, it's just. But again, going back to the comment that this guy made, Collins really just hit the ball. That's all she did. That's all she had to do to beat her. There was no strategy. There was not, I'm going to make a run here, I'm going to make a run there, and I'm going to slice here, and I'm going to drop here. I'm just going to hit the shit out of the ball and see what happens.
Yeah, and look, Collins at one point had, 5 or 6 match points, and I kept telling Carla, if she doesn't win this one, Halep's going to take it. Look, it's really an issue to be someone like Halep and to be hitting the ball so short into the court. Danielle Collins, Carla and I, when we started watching the match, we were like, geez, Halep is hitting the ball short. Everything's landing near the service line, inside the service line, just beyond the service line. And Collins still barely squeaked through that match. The level of player is much different. Now, Danielle Collins was a 2-time national champion at University of Virginia. So that's a great D1 school, one of the best D1 women's teams in the country, and won 2 national championships there. So she's a fine player, but she's not a Halep player.
And this guy says, this guy is very touchy, right? He's very touchy with the players he likes. I've noticed that. He says, after 3 months without playing, weren't you guys saying just yesterday how difficult it is to come back?
Yes.
And especially with a defense game. You're not coming back anytime soon with the defense game. You got to start hitting the ball a little bit with more authority. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've just felt like Halep could have won so many more Grand Slams had she had more into her shots. Sometimes I feel like she just hits 10 extra balls for no reason. 10 extra balls for no reason when the point could have ended sooner.
Yeah, she has always played a lot of defense. She has opportunities to take some offensive stances and within points, and she generally keeps defending. And yes, this guy is 100% correct. She's rusty. When you're hitting the ball that short on the court and you're the player that you are going to get beaten. Yeah. It's really a thumbs down for Danielle Collins, though, because as short as she was hitting the ball the entire match, Danielle Collins should have just steamrolled.
Well, she had Halep. 6 match points. She could have put it away earlier. But I told my daughter, I was like, don't watch Halep. Don't watch her at all. I was like, watch Collins. I said, you got to be aggressive. I said, the reason Serena and Venus were successful in tennis is because their dad from the beginning taught them to hit the freaking ball. Hit it. Eventually the girl will get tired. Just hit it, And I like that style. Be risky. Go for it. Of course, with angles, don't just hit. Find angles. Make the girl run. Make her run. But hit and push her back. Make her feel your pace. And you can tell the reason Halep hit short is because she was feeling her pace. And when you're feeling someone's pace and they're pushing your racket back,
bullying the racket, yeah,
your ball will land short.
Yeah, when your racket's being bullied, that's a difficult position to be in. You know, someone has a lot of power, a lot of torque, a lot of spin if they're hitting heavy top spin on their balls.
Anyways, let me show you. Let me show you the bun. Here's the bun. This is how I felt every time I watched her grunt. And then she would piss me off hearing her grunt, right? So this is how I felt. This is what I was doing. I was screaming. I was like, shut up. It's how I felt.
Okay.
Did you feel like that? I tell her to shut up?
Her screeching, yes. But look, I've always liked Halep. I do like her a lot. She's been through a lot. You know, at one point at the beginning of her career, she used to get chastised for having too big of breasts. Do you remember this?
Yeah, they should know what
she went through a lot of media issues with that, and she kept her head up with that. She's been with Cahill for a while, and then left, and then returned to
she should leave Cahill.
Well, I like Cahill. What are your thoughts on the Cahill, Team Adidas, and Simona Halep? Now there was a while, or didn't Halep switch over to Nike sponsorship, and for a while that kind of made a rocky road with her and Cahill in terms of Team Adidas?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, I'm kind of shooting from the hip on that one. I remember some type of a brief dismissal from the Nike squad or sponsorship into Adidas and maybe back. But I think Cahill is a good match for her. I think they have good energy together. Cahill's a great guy, great coach, great guy, well-spoken. He's good in the booth. He's a great commentator.
I like Halep, guys. I think she's one of the nicest players. You know, I just hate her screech. We know she dealt with COVID. She dealt with injuries. So she's been dealt a bad hand because she's had to pull out of a lot of stuff, you know? So I don't expect her to be match ready for the US Open. I don't. I expect her to go out in the first week, actually. All
right, let me ask a lot of you some questions, and I'll ask them to Carla, but put your answers out here as well. All right, Carla and all of you. Question number 1. Is Simona Halep still dangerous?
Not yet. No, she needs a lot more practice. She's the type of player that can't take time away. Because she doesn't have weapons, she has to keep playing. See what I'm saying? Okay. She's not that type of player. She's not a dominant player.
Okay. Carla, are you a Simona Halep fan?
Yes, of course. I like her. I mean, she's not my favorite. I don't like her game style, but I like her.
All right. Is Simona Halep still, in your opinion, I know she is on paper, but is Simona Halep, in your opinion, still a top 5 or top 10 player?
She can be when she's playing.
Right currently?
Not right now, no.
Okay. And let me ask you another question. And this one is kind of, it's definitely opinionated. Where does Simona Halep rank right now with some of the best players of all time?
Top 20 right now.
So top 20 of all time, Simona Halep.
Yeah, she can play like the Sakari plays. She can play, I mean.
No, I don't mean like top 20 I mean, if you looked at the best tennis players of all time.
Yeah, just because she's a fighter. You got to give her that. If Arantxa Sanchez could be in that category, so can Halep.
Okay, so
she is the Arantxa Sanchez of this era.
So that's your comparison. Is
absolutely
Halep today is
the Arantxa.
Is Arantxa of the past.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, kind of the same
style.
Yeah, same.
Small, strong,
yeah.
You know, energetic.
Yeah.
Nice, you know, humble, but the same defense game. No, she's not a Kleister. She's not a Henin. She's not a Graf. She's not a Serena, you know, but she's consistent. That's what I would say.
I don't think I would make her top 20 of all time.
She's higher than Kerber.
I don't think I would make her top 20 of all time.
Okay.
The women's game for me is something along with the men's that I've studied since I was very young. I had a sister that was a top-notch junior. My father retired coach, and we watched so many women, and I've seen a lot better.
Fall into that category of a Halep.
Of a Halep.
Yes.
Yeah. My sister played the same way.
Yes.
Very strategically.
That is very 80-ish style. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't work now.
All
Just like a Yankovic, Rowanska. I would put Halep better than Rowanska.
Yin, how cool? What's up, buddy?
And I would put Halep over Wozniacki and Yankovic. Yankovic never won a slam.
So Yin Halcour, by the way, thank you for being here today. I always love reading your comments. Everyone else's, obviously, but I read one of his this morning. On yesterday's show, we mentioned something along the lines of, and I think Carla brought it up, about some type of income for everybody moving forward, right? Wasn't there a name for it? Universal income or something? And Yin Hao Kur responded to that in a very intelligent way. I don't know if you can find it. I don't know if I sent it to you or not.
You not, but I can find it.
But he alluded to something that I thought was very truthful, that this day and age, there are reducing numbers of jobs. The numbers of jobs are whittling away, and there's more people without them.
Yes, here it is.
Yeah, read. Can I? You want to read it?
No, go ahead.
Okay, here was his message, and I thought it was really good. And Carla brought this up yesterday. Universal Basic Income, UBI. So Yin Hao Kur says universal basic income will be 300% necessary in the future. Why? Because the trends have been very adversarial in nature for too long, with more and more people needing jobs and less jobs being available due to an increasing number of positions being capital intensive. This means that jobs is not the answer for many future generations. I haven't figured out what the answer is yet, but it's definitely not jobs, with some exceptions. Great comment. Again, I know this is a tennis channel, but we're like family. You know, sometimes we can be at the dinner table and we might bring up something else. And I thought this was very interesting. What are some ideas that mankind should have to try to help the people that can't find jobs or can't support their children in a world that's becoming ever so more controlled by computers, AI, and the like? Like, we go to grocery stores now, right? And there's not a cashier in sight. It's all self-checkout, right? And then
but it's still the same thing. You still need the cashier to come to you, because every time those machines get damp, they get stuck, something didn't pick up, and you still need them. So that system is not working.
Yeah, I mean, with dwindling, with a burgeoning population, the global population is burgeoning. It's growing quickly, right? I think we're due to like double our population size by like 2050. That's insanity. And because of little jobs, you know, eventually you're going to have some type of revolution. People are going to revolt if you don't figure that out, right? And I think that he is 100% correct. What do they say? The wealthiest, all the money in the world, besides like 1% of it, is controlled by like 2% of the population or 1% of the population. So I think that, yes, some type of universal income would be beneficial for everyone. All right. Last night, Carla and I watched the Gael Monfils versus John Millman match. A lot of respect for both players. All right. Number one, before we talk about the match, it's more about Monfils and the jerkiness of John Millman's serve to start. As coaches, one of the things we always say when we watch John Millman serve is his jerky pull motion, his down together motion with the tossing hand and the playing hand. He jerks down. It's very quick to come around. Generally, we like to pull into a serve, you know, kind of get set, bounce the ball, pull into it. And once we get here, then we attack the ball. He tends to rush to the point of toss and then rush it. He has a very rushed serve, right?
He does, yes. It's not a strong serve. I told him, I said, Millman's serve for a guy is not strong. If you were a woman, it would be fine, but his serve, not for a guy, not to be in the top 20, no.
Well, you know, there's old sayings, you know, if something doesn't look right, it's generally not right. Okay. As coaches, sometimes Carla and I will frequent tennis tournaments. Okay. And we'll walk down a line of courts. And as coaches, we don't have a lot of time to spend watching one player. We want to watch a bunch of players, right? Couple things that Carla and I will do, or that players will do, and Carla and I will continue to walk. We won't even stop and watch the match because we just don't have the time. Number one, a tennis player walking with the racket head down, holding the grip and walking it like you're dragging some luggage to the airport. Okay. The racket is your weapon. You should respect your weapon. You should hold it head up by your non-playing hand. You'll see Bianca Andreescu. She'll put the racket underneath her left arm and then she'll put the grip out. The reason why we do that, number one, is my playing hand is really tired after a match or during a match. Number two, it's very sweaty during a match, right? I want to get my grip out of my playing hand. So number one, I can let my hands stretch out. Maybe I can wipe off the sweat, towel, shirt, whatever. Over a long match, 5-set or whatever, sometimes the hands can cramp up a little bit, right? So you want to keep the racket out of your playing hand and put it in the left hand, right? So if Carla and I see a player and we're scouting and they're dragging their racket around, we either know A, they have no manners, B, they have no court etiquette, or C, they just weren't really well taught, right? Number two, always hitting inside out forehands and never striking the backhand. If we see players and all they do is run around their forehand and whack, or do we pause?
I'm sure we did for a second.
Okay. And let us know if there's any sound or audio issues or bad glitches. Let us know, and we'll try to figure it out. But a player that always runs around their backhand to hit the inside out, I don't feel like a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Few, but not that bad, right? Is there anything else that you see from students? How about too much grunting? How about their court conduct?
Jumping. I hate watching the jumping on the shots.
Jump and
it's
hit.
Not necessary. You're wasting a lot of energy.
How about their court conduct?
Jumping. I hate watching the jumping on the shots.
Jump and
it's
hit.
Not necessary. You're wasting a lot of energy. Yeah, the inside, the forehand running around the backhand is another one. Pushing the serve is another one. No emotion on the court. I can't stand watching a player that has no emotion.
Like Pliskova.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you watch these girl matches. We go to these USTA tournaments, and they don't even look like they're having fun. Yeah. It looks like they don't even have the fight in them. And then to watch players like that, I just walk away. I'm like, there's no fight. You should be pumping yourself up. You should be strategizing in your head. Even if you don't say, come on, which I don't agree with too many times, at least pump yourself up, do something. At least what Osaka does, slaps herself on the thigh, something to show that you're into this match, that you want to be there.
I like this comment by Jesus Cruz Cava.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has to do with jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Setting a platform to increase creativity and innovation. Cruz Cava.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has to do with jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Setting a platform to increase creativity and innovation beyond the mechanistic, industrial, modern era kind of way of living. Okay. So in other words, the Industrial Revolution, let's start creating ways for people to have accessible means and innovative. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ability to do that, to be creative and innovative, has to do with the parents at home. What do I mean by this? One of the biggest mistakes I made in my life, and I said this yesterday on the show, was we have 5 children. I got my second oldest son a cell phone when he won a tennis tournament, and that I didn't think he would win. And since then, he's been kind of just shut up in his room. And this is a really good tennis player. And let's just put it this way: the giving the cell phone is a way. I think I've alleviated his way of getting out and being creative, because he's always stuck on this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Are we losing it?
It might be time to take it away from him.
Are we losing the?
I'm trying to click on it.
We might be down.
No.
Still going?
No, we're fine.
We might be fine.
Don't mess with that.
Let us know if there's any audio issues. But yes, no emotion on the court is it's important to have emotion, but it's important to keep it in check as well. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No emotion can be good. Roger Federer doesn't show a lot of emotion on the court, right? So keeping your emotions in check is important. So I kind of disagree with you a little bit there. I don't care to see someone spaz out or,
No, I'm talking about not shouting. I'm talking about, okay, I'm not saying I don't like to hear the come on every second. I mean, like, tap yourself on the leg, think, you could see when someone's into the match, you can see their facial thing. But when you see 2 players and they're like, they lost the point, they just walked to there's no emotion in the face.
Yeah.
You got to see something, like even talking to yourself, something. There's, you can tell when someone's engaged in the match.
Yeah. And, I haven't seen, obviously, know my tennis in a while. Kachanov walks around on court with such an attitude. Lord knows why, because he's not great. We have that match on right here.
He lost already.
It's already done.
Anyways, I have something about Kachanov. And yes, happy birthday to Pete Sampras, one of the greats, 50 years old.
Good for him.
One of my favorite players. And Tsitsipas' 23rd birthday. Can we believe Tsitsipas is 23 already?
And your birthday? Your birthday?
But there's a lot of great players. We have Rod Laver, who was August 9th as well, I can't say that Felix Auger-Aliassime is great, but his birthday was on the 8th as well. But there's a lot of great players. Tsitsipas turning 23. Now is the time. Didn't Federer win his first slam at 23?
22, I think. I think Federer beat Philippoussis in the 2002 Wimbledon final. Seems like yesterday. Wow. And I think Federer was 22. I'm fairly certain. I'm fairly certain Roger was 22 when he beat Philippoussis.
I obviously know my tennis says if your tennis is majestic or brutal, you can get away being a zombie on the court. Well, obviously she has not won a slam, and therefore she will never win one until she gets the emotions on check. We're fine, Justin.
No, I was reading Jesus and Yin Hao Kur's comments there.
Lori says, love the international audience you'll have and the diverse ideas and positive about humanity.
Okay, by the way, Lori sent Carla a comment right before we started the show. I think we forgot about it because we didn't have time to write it in here.
Sure, I'll read it, and then the viewers can give us their thoughts.
Yeah, so Lori is one of our students, a very fine young lady, by the way, to say the least, and she lives here on Dauphin Island and just got a Serena Williams Wilson Blade SW102 and has been killing the ball. She has gotten into watching it and keeping up with the tennis world. So let's give her some responses to her question. Let's have Yin Hao Kur, Simon Simonovic, Gene Swart. I obviously know my tennis. Let's have you guys answer this question for Lori. Are you ready? Here's Lori's question. You guys answer it. Let's go.
She says, sometimes sportscasters describe athletes as heroes when they make good effort in the game. There is a better way to say that. I have a pet peeve about that. Heroes are people who do acts to save other people or make life better, safer, etc. Military, firefighter, community members who help in crisis or need. Athletic ability display is never heroic. It's fun to watch and a spectacle. Just a peeve of mine.
All right. So basically what I get out of reading this is that one of her, Lori's, respectively, pet peeves is when commentators in sport refer to certain athletes as heroes. Okay. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with this this statement, or do you agree with or disagree with it?
I agree with her completely. I can't stand because someone wins a Super Bowl or something, they're like the best thing in life. They won a sporting event. They're good at a sport. That does not make them a hero. She's right. We don't give credit to those that are actually helping in the world. Just because Osaka won a slam or Serena or Djokovic, that does not make them a hero at all. They're just good at a sport, just like someone's good at dancing or someone's good at running fast, anything, something like that. But that's not they didn't do anything to save a person or to change someone's life. By winning a slam, you didn't change someone's life. By throwing a football, you didn't change someone's life,
Okay. I'm going to disagree with both of you guys, and not adamantly, but I'm going to disagree with you. Why? How tough is the world to live in these days? We were just talking about one of Yin Hao Kur's statements about the universal income. We should have that because of dwindling jobs. How many people are in destitute that can't eat? They can't really. How many people are hurting in the world today?
Many.
Okay. Is there anyone out there in the world that may have one sport or following one player as their passion in life? Okay. So you just said that no athlete has ever saved a life.
Well, let me finish. Unless, like Sir John says, they're helping out with a foundation.
But even further than that, we cannot forget psychology. I'm tough on this in a way because again, I've grown up and have a graduate degree in psychology, and I'm not, being non-humble about that. I'm just telling you, the common person is depressed for the most part. I mean, life is tough. There are athletes out there that people get out of bed to follow. There are athletes out there that people just can't wait to see, and it keeps them up, and they go to work and they talk about it, and they go to bed and they read about it. So there are athletes that are heroes. They save lives, and you don't think about it that deeply, but some athletes make everybody's life worth living. Okay, let's use Djokovic for an example. He's got an entire country of people that thrive off of his wins or losses. So you can't tell me that athletes aren't heroes in a way, because psychologically there are plenty of people in the world that have better days because their sport is going on.
Good example. I think what Lori means, you have the thug football players that go rape girls, go beat up on women, and yet we hold them up here like they're God, and they're not freaking God. They're thugs.
I agree.
Okay,
I'm not saying there's no thugs out there.
What's his name? The one with the dogs used to have these dogs, fighting. and people looked up to him. That's garbage.
Michael Vick.
He's garbage.
Michael Vick.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's athletes out there that are garbage. Just
You know,
pure
yeah.
garbage, but yeah, we think they're heroes.
When you bring up MV, Michael Vick, Michael Vick,
I just thought of the name.
Michael Vick, in my opinion, is a good athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Vick, and we won't get into and now Michael Vick went to Virginia Tech. He was a phenomenal quarterback. Came into the NFL, played with the Eagles and the Falcons, the Dirty Birds, and all that. Michael Vick was a little bit subjective to a bunch of people hanging out in his houses and having that dog stuff going on. And then he would come home from camp and, I'm not saying he's innocent, but Michael Vick is actually a pretty decent dude. And he's repented in a way for what he's done wrong.
Yeah, but he's not a hero.
He's not a hero.
That's just my point. There's some athletes that people, they worship. And they shouldn't be worshipped. No one should be worshipped, actually. You know what I mean?
All right. Somehow we got off on this tangent, but we were talking about Gal Monfils playing John Millman, i.e. Millman with the jerky service motion. Okay. Monfils, in my opinion, is one of the greatest athletes that never was in the sport of tennis. Okay. I've talked about this before. Let me tell you some other tennis players, and then say the past 10 years. Now, I could go way back, but some of you may not know who they are. But let's go to the recent past, and let me tell you some other tennis players that just weren't as great as I thought they could be. Tomas Berdych. We remember Berdych, right? Mm-hmm. David Ferrer. Okay. Nick Kyrgios. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Monfises or players, I think if maybe we had a different coach or a different foundation or a different mindset, they just didn't work out. Ferreira, I think, had all the above positive, but he was just so short. Mm-hmm. Like Schwartzman. Schwartzman's kind of like Ferreira. I think Ferreira had a little more heart and played in a little bit different of an era. So I think Ferreira has excelled more during his time than Schwartzman has because, again, the era has kind of modernized a bit since Ferreira was in his heyday. But if you had to pick one from this list, who would you pick? David Ferrer, Tomas Berdych, Gal Monfils, or Nick Kyrgios? If you had to select
Ferrer, I think Ferrer should have won a slam just because he worked so hard. Like the little, he's like the little engine. What was the story?
Gene Swart with the knowledge drop. Gene Swart says, Yin Hao Kor says, love Ferrer and Berdych. So do I. So do we. Gene Swart says, didn't Berdych beat Rafa at the Australian Open once? No, Berdych played Rafa in like a Wimbledon final, didn't he?
I'm sure he beat him.
Didn't Nadal beat Berdych in a Wimbledon final?
Because he couldn't stand Nadal. Berdych couldn't stand Nadal.
Yeah, it was a Wimbledon final.
He beat his
and
ass.
Nadal won that.
He made him pay with his racket, and that's how you do it. Now Bandian, yes, Simone, that's a good one. Safin at least won 2 slams.
That's another one though.
But he could have won more.
Who said Safin? Jesus, yes, you are correct.
Safin could have won a lot more.
There.
I feel like Michael Chang could have won more slams.
But he won one. We said the greatest who never was.
Safin won slams.
Michael Chang used to be our mixed doubles and doubles partner.
You say it all the time. Safin won 2 slams. He could have won more slams.
Okay, so I think we would have to kind of dismiss Safin from that. I think I was looking for players, not major titles. Now Bandian is a great one.
Definitely.
Now Bandian was the only player in history to beat Rafa Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Roger Federer in the same tournament. Quarterfinal, semifinal, final type deal. Mm-hmm. Interesting knowledge drop there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Gasquet, I thought should have won.
Gasquet is another one.
Should have won a tournament.
I still think Ferrer. Berdych.
Davydenko won one.
No, Davydenko didn't win a major. She's way off. I love Davydenko, man. Nikolai, one of my favorite players of all time. There was a time where Ivan Lubicic and Nikolai Davydenko were 2 players that I would rush home to watch. No, Davydenko never won one. Never did. Davydenko was one of the fine Russian players that was there from the very onset of Federer's.
He made a lot of semis.
Federer's reign, yeah. And don't forget about Davydenko. Who was the other one I just mentioned? I forget. Anyway, long story short, or now Bandian. But these are some of the players. A lot of people out there say Roger. A lot of people out there say Roger Federer's era was weak, and here we are bringing up players like Davydenko, Lubicic.
Safin had a short career. In my opinion, absolutely. I feel like Andy Roddick should have won more than 1 slam. In my opinion. We're going to see the same thing happen with Shapovalov. He's going to go in the same route.
What about Felix then? What about Felix Auger-Aliassime?
Probably guys that will never win a slam. Yes.
So we're okay. So Ferrer, Berdych, all these guys were were veterans when they retired.
Good one, Josh. Tsonga.
That's a great one.
Tsonga should have won one for sure. All these French guys that should have won one.
So Carla, you're already preparing to put very young Shapovalov into the mix of aged veterans. You think Shapovalov is going to be a future Berdych?
Yeah, never win a slam.
Never?
Never.
It's a great
I was watching him play Tiafoe, and I said, why are we still jumping? Why are we still jumping at the shots? Why haven't we developed into a man? You know, he still looks like a boy. It's like, and then Felix just can't get through it in his head. It's like someone has to shake him, slap him around a few times. Freaking man up, you know, like, come on, man, get some balls. Time to win.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they're too comfortable just winning a few matches, and they're okay with that instead of working harder to win the slam because their time is passing. Look at here, Tsitsipas 23. I remember when we were saying he was 19. He's 23 now.
Seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
Yin Hao Kor says Del Potro is his all-time favorite player. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Coria, his career, because he lost in that French Open
to Gaudio,
it changed his career forever.
Yeah,
that was it for him.
Yeah, up 2-0, loses. He never shook that off. That was a tough loss. All right. Speaking about players that
let me show his dance because we're talking about Monfils. Might as well get to it.
Oh, right? The Monfils dance.
Yeah, I could see why Slovenia likes him. You know, because he's just fun. He's just a fun guy. So
Carla is going to show you a little clip of Gal Monfils putting some dance moves out there after beating Millman last night. And the question here is do you think this is flaunting? Do you think this is appropriate, or do you think it's fun? Do you think it's no big deal? Look at
this guy? He's cool. Check him out. I mean, Benoit Paire was watching him. He had his Frenchman watching him. He's pretty cool. You know, you could take him to a dance club for sure.
Yeah, and look, you know, if this is some other player with, you know, some history of being an asshole or something, yes, you're offended by that. But this is Monfils. He is a fun-natured, light-spirited. You know, one of the funnest tennis things, I say the funnest that I've ever seen is there was a dance off. There was a tournament, a clay court tournament.
Him and Djokovic?
Was it Djokovic that were dancing together?
Yeah, him and Djokovic, yeah.
There was a dance off. Can anybody name the tournament? It was red clay, maybe Madrid, Barcelona, something like that, or the Italian Open. But anyway, he's a great dancer. And long story short, is Monfils. I don't think it was offensive, him doing that last night. I think that's just Monfils.
But Millman was definitely annoyed.
He was annoyed, yes.
He was annoyed because he had fans that were wearing Roger Federer hat. They were screaming at the points and stuff. He told one guy, can you leave? You need to leave now. You need to go. He was upset.
Yeah.
You know, it got to his head because he was ahead of Monfils in that match. He should have won the match.
Yeah.
And he
was up 4-2.
He let Monfils get back. He kept hitting back to the middle to Monfils. And I'm like, dude, this guy can hit 100 balls back if he wants to. Now he's a better quality player than you.
Yeah. Now the problem that we had during this match wasn't the match at all. Once again, and I'm not trying to defame anybody. That's not where I'm going with this. But once again, we had Eugenie Bouchard doing commentary, or at least in the booth, not at the match, but at the headquarters of the Tennis Channel if she wasn't there. Now, why do I have such a problem with Eugenie Bouchard commentating on tennis? Look, Eugenie Bouchard, by the way, made a Wimbledon final, lost that in 2014, was it? And I think she lost either Serena, Lizicki, someone like that. Anyway, but Eugenie Bouchard, since maybe a year or two after that Wimbledon final loss, and she made the cover of a tennis magazine, by the way, in a little green dress. You remember it?
I don't.
But since that point in time, Eugenie Bouchard has been with, I don't know. I'm not talking about like personally, like, you know, doing the adult thing. I'm just saying over the past multiple years, Eugenie Bouchard has been a thong model, a G-string model, fancies around old men and taking pictures with them, has an Instagram account, go to it, that's just loaded of pictures of her ass, taking pictures of herself. Look at me. She turned into an Instagram model. And now we have her on the Tennis Channel, which we pay, what, $70-$80 a month or however it works.
I don't pay for it.
So what I'm saying is why do we have to watch an Instagram model try to commentate on a sport that we bleed? I'm not saying she's bad at it, but you have to think that the other girls in the office are like, look at this bimbo. And you can't tell me it's not bimbo-ish. My definition of a bimbo is someone that goes out and takes pictures of their asses and shows it to the world. And now she's on the Tennis Channel. Do you have a picture of her?
I have many.
Show some pictures to these fine people. And look, I don't think
you fine people.
I don't
Look. I mean, like, okay, there she looks decent.
Okay, is that her butt?
That's her butt.
See,
she's like, oh, someone's taking a picture of my butt again.
Oh,
come on. Now.
I don't know how they caught that picture.
You know that you put that.
You just stuck it out there.
But then I'm like, okay, she's really not a pretty girl. She's just not, in my opinion. She's very plain. Makeup does it. Yeah. Okay, and then so we saw her with her midriff showing. I'm like,
yeah. Now this is
here.
This
I'm
is
like,
her.
If I dress like this with the heels, I think I'm going out.
Yeah, she's a commentator here.
I'm going out.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm looking for is what is the Tennis Channel thinking?
That's not an athlete. Look at the legs. Definitely not. Model, maybe, but her face, no.
So the Tennis Channel, I guess, is
this was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, here you go. This was just the other day.
Weeks ago. I mean, you tell me that the girls are on there happy about that?
Now, maybe I think what the Tennis Channel was doing is hoping that they get more subscribers by showing her, because
well, Sir John is definitely going to watch because he thinks she's super sexy hot.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There you go. You got one more viewer at Tennis Channel. You got a Serbian that thinks she's super sexy hot. So they got another.
Yeah, they're banking on the 18-year-old to 45-year-old male to increase their Tennis Channel subscribers, in other words, payers, by putting her in the booth. Yeah. I'm not saying she's good or bad, but I do know that she has been a bimbo for a long time.
She's working her back.
Yeah, she's working her backside and her way into the booth. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it makes the Tennis Channel look desperate. Doesn't it make the Tennis Channel look desperate?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Next thing, Bianca Andreescu. Okay. She is, I think she plays today again, right?
Yes, she does.
Do you know who she plays?
I can tell you right now.
You know, okay. Here's my question about Bianca Andreescu to all of you. Do you like her? Do you like Bianca Andreescu?
I do. I don't know. She plays Jabeur.
Good match. I'm taking Jabeur there. I think Jabeur wins that match.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about Jabeur in the next deal. Mm-hmm. But do you like Bianca Andreescu?
Like she hasn't done anything wrong. So what can you say wrong about her scrunchie?
I don't like the scrunchie.
Okay, so that's the reason.
I don't like her because of her scrunchie. Yeah.
Poor girl. She put a scrunchie on and he don't like her. Like, seriously.
Simone Simonovic does make a good point here. And I'm going back to the Eugenie Bouchard thing. He says they need to bring in Kornikova.
Kornikova would be much better.
That's what I'm saying.
She was a lot more consistent in tennis.
And she's a grown woman now.
And she's beautiful still.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if the Tennis Channel's goal is to bring in, a hot girl that knows the game of tennis, and by the way, I don't think Eugenie Bouchard's hot. I think she's skinny and has no rear. But nonetheless, I wouldn't bring in her because Anna Kornikova never made an ass out of herself and showed thongs to the old man sitting next to her on Instagram.
No, she just wore.
She never did that.
She wore a bathing suit, which she looked good in. That's what she has Enrique Iglesias, man. Come on.
Yeah. So yeah, they should pull in somebody like that. Just saying. Yeah. All right. Can I ask you guys some more questions about Bianca Andreescu? Did Bianca Andreescu being out of shape, in other words, her fitness was in question when she first came on the scene, right? Did that time that she played with that excess weight hurt her now? Is her injury-prone career at this point related to her out-of-shape playing for a while prior to getting to this level of play?
She wasn't that out of shape.
She was chunky, man.
Come on. We
did a whole show about her chunky.
We all get chunky. We lose the weight and stuff. She didn't have a lot of weight.
When she first came on scene, she had this scrunchie, right? She still wears the scrunchie. Her arms were so thick that the scrunchie was cutting off circulation and her fingers turned purple. Okay.
You're tough on her.
Look, I don't like her. I don't like her. I don't like her.
You don't like Nadal because he picks his butt, and you don't like Andreescu because she has a scrunchie.
She has a scrunchie.
Okay? But you like other players that smash rackets and act like buffoons.
Name them.
You like Nick Kyrgios, and he's a thug.
I don't follow Nick Kyrgios.
But you like him.
I like him as a player, and then his struggle and strife in
you
a
don't
way.
think that Andreescu has struggle and strife? You don't think she's worked hard? You don't think she knows that she's a bigger girl like Serena has to work hard to be better?
Bianca Andreescu's mom and their family is so wealthy, you can't ever tell me that she struggled. She struggled so much where she got chunky and threw a scrunchie on her arm to get the circulation cut off, so her forearm would fall off. I don't care for her. She just comes across to me.
Yeah, this guy, good point. It's her natural body shape. If she wasn't a player, she would be fat. There's many players, if they didn't play tennis, they would be bigger. Yes, absolutely.
There's quite a few of them.
Yeah, and she's young. She shouldn't be that big.
We've seen.
Look, when you get older, you get bigger, and that's normal.
Who are some players that once they retired, they got
Shanda Rubin's one.
Rubin. What about
Zena Garrison?
Zena Garrison's another one.
Yeah.
I can't think of any men. Or are there any men that got really heavy and out of shape? Boris Becker, man. Boris Becker. Ooh, he's got an elbow.
Roddick's gained some weight.
Yeah, he's got an elbow. Have you seen Boris Becker's elbow?
Yeah.
He's got deformed elbows, man. Anyway, but it happens. Like when you go to college, it's called the freshman 15. So they always tell people when they go to college if they
don't, because she's dealt with a lot of issues though.
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of the freshman 15?
Feisters, yeah.
Have you heard of the freshman 15?
Yes.
Okay.
You told it.
It's like when kids go to college, and or whoever, and they're in the dorm room setting or whatever, and they're eating fast food all the time, and they're not doing anything else besides studying and eating. They tend to gain 15, 20 pounds every freshman year. It's called the freshman 15. So what do we call it in tennis? The retirement 20?
Well, you got Shaq. He's aggressive.
Ooh, Shaq got pretty big too. Ooh. All right.
Have you seen his toes? Ooh.
Okay, a couple more questions. Carla, do you like Bianca Andreescu's scrunchie?
I don't mind it. I don't dislike her. I like her tennis. I think she's a smart player. I think it's going to be tough for her to get back to winning ever a slam again.
Yeah, and I'm with Jesus here. I'm always rooting for Jabeur as well. I hope Jabeur is the first African.
But you don't give her grief, right? Because she's chunky too.
But I don't have any reason to. She's not out pretending to be someone she isn't. She's not. She's a Muslim girl.
How do you know Andreescu's pretending to be someone?
I don't get your.
You said she's not out there pretending to be someone.
Well, Andreescu's trying to be a diva. Like, oh, I'm already Serena Williams. Look at me. I got a scrunchie. Jabeur's just out there balling.
Here, where's the scrunchie?
It's hideous. Okay.
There we go. There you go. Now my husband's not going to like me because I'm wearing a scrunchie. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay. There's my scrunchie, guys.
There's your scrunchie. You got your Andreescu scrunchie. Okay, here's a couple more questions. Speaking of Canadian tennis players, okay? We good? Speaking of Canadian tennis players, okay? Pick one. Milos Raonic, Denis Shapovalov, Bianca Andreescu, or Felix Auger-Aliassime. Pick one.
Justin, you've been exposed for hypocrisy.
Are we good?
Yeah, I mean they're answering.
Pick one. Pick one of those Canadian players.
Which one?
If you had to pick one of these Canadian players to put in your pocket to be your representative to win matches, would you choose Milos Raonic, Denis Shapovalov, Bianca Andreescu, or Felix Auger-Aliassime? Give me one.
Andreescu, because I think I'll go further with her.
At the U.S. Open?
Yeah.
I might take Raonic at the U.S. Open.
Pillsbury Doughboy?
At the U.S. Open,
Wait a minute, this guy's a hypocrite because he said Andreescu was big. This dude looks like the guy from The Simpsons. He looks like the cop.
I just said if you had to choose one of those four. I didn't list every player. Those four. Shapovalov, okay, we just watched him lose to Tiafoe. Andreescu, I hate the scrunchie. And she's kind of chunky.
But Raonic is fit?
This isn't, I'm just selecting one of four people, Carla.
I definitely wouldn't choose Shapovalov. I definitely wouldn't choose Felix.
Exactly.
And Raonic is done.
Well, look, for me, if you had to pick one of those players to go the deepest at the U.S. Open, I'm going with Raonic.
Can't even get on the court. Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, why would you choose that? That's a losing bet.
Okay, does anyone want to take a $1 bet with me that out of those four players,
I'll take it.
That Milos Raonic goes the farthest in the U.S. Open out of those four.
I'll take it.
Okay,
for sure.
He could mess around and make a damn quarterfinal or a semi.
He might not even make it through the first round.
May not.
He might not even.
Maybe not anybody else will.
Yeah.
All right. Carla asked a question. The last question about Bianca Andreescu. We do the fantasy teams and we do the big pots for these majors. There's a video out there. Watch it and you'll hear all the rules. Would Bianca Andreescu, Carla, be someone that you would select on your fantasy team?
It all depends how the draw looks.
All right. Last night, Carla asked me a question. I didn't know the answer. Maybe you guys can answer this question, but Carla was watching some highlights, and I think there was some Ashley Barty in there or something. And then there was another highlight in there, and I think it had John Millman in it. You know, a couple Australians.
We're watching the Millman match.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it.
So Carla asked the question out of nowhere, quote, why do Australian women have bigger biceps than the men? Anybody know the answer to this?
Mm-hmm. I was looking at Millman. I said, dude, you should be ashamed of yourself. Stozier, Barty, they got bigger biceps than you.
Man, I'll tell you what.
I was like, damn. And not that the guy is like skinny. Girls
are tough over there. Rugby players, cricket players, get down. The guys are just jerking their serves around and not playing.
Well, ever since Hewitt and Patrick Rafter have been done, there really hasn't been Australian guys. I mean, really.
All right. Yesterday, Carla shows me a picture of Venus Williams showing a little cleavage. I haven't seen this before. I think it was a pretty interesting picture. Carla was like, what? Venus Williams starting to sell the soul a little bit. So you want to show this picture?
Are definitely not that big. She's definitely wearing some push-up.
Wow. Let's go, Venus. Let's go. Let's go, Venus. Let's go. Venus Williams, one of my favorite players of all time. No disrespect to her. I love her to death.
She can do it, though, because she's in her 40s. It doesn't matter. She's trying to put her line. She's got a clothing line, so she's trying to get the, she's not showing anything. I mean, that's what normal people wear.
Yeah.
Around here. Around the beach.
Look, I try to get Carla to wear stuff like that, but she won't.
No.
All right. A couple questions about Felix Auger-Aliassime and his countryman, Denis Shapovalov. By the way, those two used to bunk together. They used to sleep in the same room with one another in terms of
best friends.
Best friends, yeah. Yes. All right, this has to do with both of them. Francis Tiafoe took out Shapo 6-1, 6-4. Felix Auger-Aliassime loses to a solid Serbian Dusan Lajovic 7-5, 6-4. Okay? Carla and all of you, will either player, Shapovalov or Felix Auger-Aliassime, be a top 5 player?
Not at this rate, no.
Okay. Will either player ever win a major?
No.
Who has the better shot between them to do it?
Shapo.
Okay. Which of the two of them is the better player and why?
Shapo has a little more firepower, and mentally he's stronger because he's had closer matches with the top players. Felix could lose to anybody and could just disappear completely. I feel like he's lost. He's lost something. He started out good, probably because no one knew his game, like Karatsev. And then now they figured out his game, and he hasn't changed the junior game into an adult male game.
He's
like Donald Young. Donald Young got stuck. He was one of the top American juniors when he came out. He stayed with mommy and daddy, big mistake. He stuck with the same junior game, never transitioned into the man game, and got lost.
Well, one of Donald Young's downfalls was the parents being coaches for so long, in my opinion. Donald Young, fine player, been around him countless times, fine young man, really pleasure to be around, fun to talk to. But I think it's kind of like we were talking when we started the show. We coach our own children. And I feel like a lot of our children could have or could be a little bit better if it wasn't just us coaching them. Like you said it yesterday. If you didn't watch the video yesterday and you're watching this, we downloaded a video yesterday. I think the title was Our 12-Year-Old Tennis Prodigy or something. Liliana's out here hitting with Carla. When I first started filming her hitting her backhand, she missed the first one in the net and she was already pissed off. And I'm like, you can't have a great workout if you're walking around sulking and pouting and getting pissed off. But when it's your parent, you stay that way. You can't come up with some little game to play with them to get them out of their funk and then get back into it because you're their parent.
But she did better. She did better because I don't say anything anymore.
But what I'm saying is it relates to the likes of Donald Young here.
You have to. There's no way we can keep coaching her. There's got to be a coach.
Who are some players in history that have had parents as coaches that could have been better? And who are some players with parents as coaches where they have been excellent? Wasn't Andy Murray's mother, what was her name, Jane or something?
Yeah, but she sent him off to an academy at a young age.
Okay, what about Denis Shapovalov? Wasn't Shapovalov's parents involved?
She sent him off. She had another coach for him.
But I think Donald Young's parents were just his coaches.
Well, Kenan got far to pros. We're talking about people that just didn't even win a slam, you know?
All right, out of those two, Felix Auger-Aliassime and Denis Shapovalov, whose backhand out of those two is more effective?
I would say Shapo.
I'm going to go with Felix only because Shapovalov continuously jumps at the one-handed backhand. We've talked about this. If your mind is locked on a target being the ball and I'm swinging freely and I'm coming around and I lift at the last second, I tend to hit it off the bottom of the frame. Yes, the pros jump. Yes, they do. And yes, it makes the highlight reel and looks great. But it adds the probability of inconsistencies. If we jump, yeah, we can hit the ball big. But we are increasing the risk of unforced error. And Shapovalov does it incessantly. Okay. I don't recommend that. We have kids that come and train with us and, and they're like, geez, for some reason I can't get any better.
And we have adults.
And they run and they jump at the ball.
Thing.
Finally, we get them in the habit to stay down, hit, and then they can get up and split. And what do you know? Now they're in the game. Now they're balling. And stay down a little bit. Shapovalov, I understand, is young and full of energy and so forth. But we said the same thing multiple years ago. And here he is in the same position, really. I mean, his ranking is up a bit, but nonetheless, he needs to stay down a little bit more.
Consistency.
Yeah. Now, out of the two of them, Felix Auger-Aliassime and Denis Shapovalov, whose backhand would you like to watch more? Which one's more pleasing to watch? So I think, that's the right answer. I think Felix is more effective because he doesn't jump. He throws a second hand on it. It's more consistent. Shapovalov jumps, leads to more inconsistencies. But I do think that Shapovalov's is more aesthetically pleasing to watch than I do Felix Auger-Aliassime. Again, I don't particularly care to watch a man hit with two hands on the racket. I don't particularly care for it. All right, last segment I got. I want everybody to list their top 5 men and their top 5 women that you think have a chance to win the U.S. Open this year. I'll tell you what my 5 are. This doesn't mean I'm putting these people on my fantasy team. I usually play 2-point players on my fantasy team. Again, if you want to have any idea what I'm talking about, go to a video on this playlist that we downloaded a couple days ago, U.S. Open 2021 fantasy teams and $300 cash giveaway rules and entry. All you got to do is subscribe to qualify and let it go, and you'll have a chance to win $300 in one game, and then the top 2 competitors win $50 in another game. Here are my top 5 men: Nadal, Djokovic, obviously, Tsitsipas, Zverev, and Medvedev. I have Medvedev 5 on that list because he has no net game. Okay. Same way Djokovic refers to Medvedev when he's asked before he plays him, what are you going to do differently? He laughs about it and says, well, I'll just draw him in, right? He has no net game, but I'm still going to put him up there as one of my 5 favorites to win it. Djokovic, Nadal being the number 1 favorites to me. On the women's side, Serena Williams, Belinda Bencic, Karolina Pliskova, Aryna Sabalenka, and Ashley Barty. Notice I did not put Naomi Osaka in there. She's too distracted now. She's going through this woke stuff. She can't figure out where she's from. She's got red braids in her hair at the Olympics. I think she's lost more than ever. She may come out and win the U.S. Open, but let me reiterate, I'm not a fan, never have been a fan, especially after her and her boyfriend flipped us the middle finger.
I think everyone agrees on those picks, Djokovic, Zverev, Medvedev.
Let's go.
That's pretty much it. That's probably going to be all our top 5
No
picks.
offense to Osaka, but I would love to see her lose very early in this tournament. If she lost in the first round, I'd say, good, thank goodness. I don't have to watch it anymore. I don't have to worry about what new stuff she's going to pull, and I don't have to see her boyfriend shoot us the middle finger anymore. Okay? If you had to choose one out of those 10 people that I mentioned, Nadal, Djokovic, Tsitsipas, Zverev, Medvedev, Serena, Bencic, Pliskova, Sabalenka, or Barty.
Definitely not Bencic. Definitely not Sabalenka. I think you're lost or smoking something. Are you freaking kidding me?
She just won Olympic gold. She's a top 10 or has been a top 10 player.
And she can't beat the big players.
Okay. Well,
Sabalenka? No way. I would pick Osaka or Sabalenka and Bencic any day. Not that I'm picking Osaka, but Barty I agree with. Serena I agree with. And the rest?
Barty,
I said yes. The rest, let's just grab paper, throw it up. Let's see who wins the U.S. Open.
Okay, if you had to choose one of those players that I aforementioned, if you had to choose one of those players and you had to bet your house, you don't have a choice, are you going to bet or not? If someone came to you and says you have no choice, I'm going to shoot you, or you must bet your house on one of those players to win, who's the one player out of those 10 that you would have to bet on?
Oh, and men too?
Men and women.
Oh, I'll go with Novak.
Novak.
Yeah.
So
if you're going to shoot me, I'll go with Novak.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my life in Novak's hands.
Yeah, so if your life depended on it, out of those favorites,
yeah, I'm gonna
if
put
your life depended on it,
my life on Novak's.
So basically, you're telling us, Carla, even though you don't like him a lot, basically, you're telling us you think he's probably going to win.
He's the best out of all those names you mentioned. He has the best possibility.
Now, who out of those 10 players would have the least chance of winning it? I think you just kind of answered that. Sabalenka or Bencic.
Yeah.
I think Medvedev should be in that as well because he has no net game.
Medvedev's good in hard court. You don't really need a net game on hard courts, babe.
All right.
You really don't.
Last pre-US Open teaser question. Who are a couple of players, men and women, outside of the top 10 or 20 that you think can bring a lot of noise and bring a lot of pain, maybe even could win the whole tournament or at least make a semi or a final? Okay. I just jotted down a couple, not hard. Coco Gauff, I think she's looking pretty strong, pretty good. Still a little young mentally. Ons Jabeur, we talked about her a little bit.
Not on the heat, no.
Vika Azarenka, I only mentioned her because, she's been there, done that. Again, I like the old version of Azarenka better than the new. Both versions squeal really loud. When she hits the ball, she sounds like a damn stuffed pig. Whee! Sounds like, it's awful. Sounds like a train slowing down and they just hit the brakes and there's sparks flying everywhere. She's one of the most hideous grunters in all of the game. But I think she has a shot. On the men's side, I'm just throwing these two guys out there because they're from the U.S., so I kind of have fun with them, Isner and Opelka. But the three more on a serious note, and then they could be serious, Isner and Opelka. They could make some noise. But her catch, Marin Cilic, don't forget he's been in this rodeo before, and Sebastian Korda. I think Sebastian Korda has a big game, kind of like Medvedev-ish, except a better net game. So I figured if Medvedev, I'm going to throw in my top 5 to win it, then Sebastian Korda should be on the outside looking in.
I think that's Zverev.
Carreno Busta?
No way. Zverev, Medvedev, and Tsitsipas need to take advantage of this U.S. Open and win it. It's time. They win a slam. It's time. This is it right here for them. As far as the women, Coco Gauff, sure, she's doing a lot better. She would be one on my list. Azarenka's a veteran. Pliskova, she should win a slam already. You think? She needs to win a slam.
Yeah.
She's good on hard courts. It's flat. This is her surface. Mm-hmm. This suits her game very well. She needs the slam. She's 29. Mm-hmm. She has to win one.
And she's still young enough to do it.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically.
Krejcikova, no way.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Not on
Krejcikova, no.
No.
And I think Krejcikova just did
Rybakina, no.
Neither. No. I think Krejcikova just did sneak into the top 10, I think.
Yeah,
I think she's 10 now.
The hard court season is going to be different. You look for the flat ball hitters here, the ones who are more aggressive to win this slam.
Yeah, that's why, Osaka and even Serena at this point
These are the girls that are boom, boom, boom.
1, 2, 3.
That's it.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, wait. Has anyone seen the video? I've been finding stuff on Twitter and I've had to laugh. The first one I laughed was when Daniil Medvedev played against Bublik.
Oh,
and there was a
check
shot.
this out.
So Bublik, I don't have the video, but Bublik hit a tweener. I'm not going to, because we get copyrighted. Mm-hmm. The tweener. And so then he gets it back. And then Medvedev has, the overhand. He smashes it, almost hits him. And Bublik reacts. And he says, sorry, and still wins the point. Well, they gave him a point penalty. The umpire gave him a point penalty.
I think they gave him a hindrance.
Hindrance, but the point is not. It's gone.
Well,
and Medvedev says, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" And they're both laughing because Bublik has no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
they're both laughing. He said, "This is the dumbest call I have ever heard. This will make tennis news." He said.
Well, can I tell you why this call was made? I think as fans, you're thinking it's stupid, but these umpires and referees, it's their job. They have to call it right. Now, in the game of tennis, right? Let's say we're playing doubles, Carla. And Carla and I are a doubles teams. And doubles teams communicate with one another. Switch, up, let it go, whatever, right? There's times where we can speak and there's times where we can't speak. If the ball is on the way to my opponent, okay? So if I hit a ball and the ball is on the way to the opponent and they're about to hit it and I talk to my partner, hey, Carla, back up. That's a hindrance. You'll get a point penalty. It's like a let with the defaulted point. Okay. Now, if the ball is coming to me, okay, I'm going to hit it. Let's say I'm playing in the deuce court. Someone lobs her and I run to go get it. I can yell to my partner, switch, move over. I got it. Let it go. And it's okay because the ball is on the way to me. But if the ball is going away, now I'm a hindrance to my opponent. This was called because the ball was going. So she could have gotten in trouble in her referee meeting after she made the right call.
She was laughing about it. They were all laughing about it because it was stupid.
She had to make it.
It was stupid. He was going to win the point anyways. And then the other one was Hatchinoff for saying shit.
Oh, I saw it was ridiculous.
He said, what? They gave him a point penalty. He was playing, who was he playing against?
Was it Sistipas?
He was playing against Karatsev.
And
he's like, she said shit.
He
said, that's a bad word? He said, show me in the book. Show me in the book. Shit. And he's like, he's calling. He's like, you need to come out here. I could not believe it. He's like, shit is a bad word?
Yeah, exactly.
Shit is a bad word.
All right, y'all. Take care. We will see you very, very, very soon. And don't forget to subscribe. We would appreciate it very much. And we will see you in the next day, 2, something like that. If it rains tomorrow, we'll see you again.
Adios.
Adios. Use me.